Welcome to a video about the Harpers, a ragtag group of do-gooders whose main goal is the same thing a kid with a cape would shout after he's had too many pixie sticks.
I'm gonna beat up all the bad guys and make sure everybody's treated equally.
Apparently enough fantastically heroic good guys, gals, and pals shouted that into the crescent moon to become considered a faction. Now there's 5 major factions, and out of all these organizations, the Harpers are the least organized. They're so scattered and half-secretive that they formed, fell apart, reformed again with a bang, got too popular, fell apart, had their branding quietly stolen, then a subgroup formed a coup, and then they reformed again, had a run-in with the government, fell apart again, and finally reformed out of necessity. During 2 of their best runs, treating their alliance's history like Binding of Isaac, they had Jaheira among their ranks, as well as the damnable, traitorous scoundrel Chris Pine. The Horn of Beckoning Death was in the possession of the Harpers at the start of the movie, and for a damn good reason. I mean, obviously this reason. I'm gonna break this faction down for you the only way I know how.
I'll start with a solid bulleted list.
Let's do this. What's their goal? Why is it stupid? What do they even do? Who's on the team? Who are the ops? And let's wedge in, why did they reform that many times? Let's go. The Harpers fundamentally are steeped in the waters of equality. They hate oppression, tyranny, abuse of magic, slavery, greed, and I guess pretty much everything you see in Lord of the Rings, or on the news. Anyone who acts out against these things isn't immediately a Harper, but they have the potential to be. You become one when you swear by the following code. I will always fight evil and face the consequences of doing so. Freedom belongs to everybody. That's their favorite one. Laws are good as long as they're actually good. Balance is better than crazy extremes. Like this is good. This is unacceptable. If a dirty job needs doing, you bet we'll scrape that shit. They're like the Mike Rose of idealists. You remember that show?
Why is it brown?
I don't. I can do whatever I want freely as long as I'm not going crazy like those flavor-blasted goldfish. We Harpers keep ourselves accountable, so I will kill any evil Harper that I see. And, history is cool. That's basically their whole ideal system. This set of loose, almost non-functional ideals leads to their alternative title, the Meddlers of the Realms. The constant thought swarming at the back of a Harper's mind is actually best put by none other than the G-Man himself.
The right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world.
Which is a good catch-all for the vast majority of conflict in storytelling, ranging from any video game like Skyrim or Undertale to books like the aforementioned Lord of the Rings or Janitors by Tyler Whitesides. The fundamental problem with these tenets, as well as how the faction functions, is it's all too loose and open to interpretation. The Harpers work in disjointed cells of a dozen or so members each, who act independently until they come in contact with another team. They also have a tiny little hierarchy of Watchers, Harp Shadows, Bright Candles, Wise Owls, and High Harpers. Their normal method of beating the bad guy consisted of stealing, lying, cheating, and manipulating public knowledge to snuff out anything they deem as a risk. Which, to me, that's abuse of power right there. They also value, per the DM's guide, acquisition of overwhelming knowledge, but not the use of it, or the sharing. If you want people to be equal, you can't really operate under their noses unless you're already partially abandoning your own ideals. I digress. But no wonder they fell apart so easily. One of their codes is to partake in infighting. See, the Harper who has a cellar full of evil magic items he's keeping safe? That's a tyrant of knowledge right there, so we should break in and steal all of it. That's the kickoff for the D&D movie. They only really beat evil allegations by not hoarding actual money and cleaning toilets on occasion. Harpers are adventurers almost under their own orders, since they work as individuals or teams. Now you, as a viewer or a listener, hello, you might be someone who wants to plan Harper Operations, so here's a nice, cozy list of examples of things that a Harper might do in a day or a week or a year. Eavesdrop on a potentially evil conversation at a bar, help an old lady across the street, slaughter Thayan cultists before they enslave the city, beat up a high school bully, spy on a suspicious merchant, pay off a disabled widow's debts, commandeer the ship of the great pirate captain Silverbeard, sending his dark relics into the ocean along with his corpse, and sailing away with his interns now unchained. Help an old lady water her plants. Replace the prized altar box of the Ballast cult with a pipe bomb. Put air tags on every one of your ops. Call your mother and talk about her day. Kill 70 more cultists and slavers. Then they call it a day. Shit, that actually kind of sounds like Spider-Man's regimen.
I hope this lost old Dominican lady. She was really nice and bought me a churro.
For being as disorganized as the remnants of a thorn bush on a crying ogre's backside, they have some powerful and knowledgeable members and allies. The most notable being fucking Elminster himself, whose numerous titles include the Great Over-Sorcerer and Stinkbeard.
Yes, what a delightful wedge of old Arthurian that was.
That's one nasty cheese man.
Cheese.
There's also Jaheira, the legendary druid and high harper whose adventure spans all 3 Baldur's Gate games, which is more than I could say for her husband. They've also got several members of the Silverhand family, including Illustriel, the chosen wizard of Mystra, fuck you Gale, and of course the aforementioned Edgin, goaded back into his job by the Thayan paladin Zank. They also got a Mert, and old Jerry. Seven Toes, you like Seven Toes? Spoilers for Neverwinter, but they have the amazing and illustrious Garl Gnarl Claw. Basically everybody. In an ancient magic city that embodied their eventual ideals, rich people formed a club called the Harpers. Them and their city got ripped apart by all the evil the realms has on hand, mainly the literal army of darkness. Then Elminster / Gandalf / Dumbledore, who had plot armor and survived, reformed them to fight the rising cultists of you'll never guess who. Bane, Ball, and Merkel, and Leviator and Malar. Good gods showed up to help them win, so they took that victory and tried to keep it going against evil. But their effort was kinda lazy and slow and disjointed, and before long, the now returned churches of the dead gods started hunting the scattered factions' outposts for sport. They literally sent liches to go kill them. The Harpers rose yet again with the help of bards, including the members of Metallica and the Beatles. Together they beat an undead dragon and a bunch of cults before the lead singers got too hot-headed and the bands broke up the day that the music died.
I'm getting out of here, you hacks. Talentless hacks!
Then an evil drummer allied with a red wizard cult, which we know is bad, tainted the whole brand so that the IP holder, Gandalf, had to vaporize him. They made a very slow comeback afterwards before their ultimate rival and new faction, the Zentarim, started biting at their heels and stabbing at their jugulars. So Gandalf got locked in a fight with Dark Thanos from Waterdeep until dragons blew them both up. Then a bunch more dumb shit happened with gods and dragons, an evil guy with a big black staff, and finally the Spell Plague. I should do a video on that, I know nothing about that. Then they were reborn from a tower. Bada bing, bada boom, Christopher Pine and the Dungeon of Doom. And here we are today. The Harpers have a lot of enemies, since they're the eternal thorn in the side of ambition. The Red Wizards of Thay serve as massive opposition to the Harpers, as well as any church worshipping a god of death, most governments, the Arcane Brotherhood, who I have a pin of and didn't know anything about, the Twisted Runes, which I'm actually a part of, any dragon cultists, any Kraken cult, oh I know those guys, and one of the remaining 4 factions who I'd like to talk about in another video, the Zentarim. So those are the enemies, that's the faction, those are the members. I'll see myself out, you just stay there.